Good evening, and welcome to 2GPTV Weekly News Update. I'm your host, Big Johnny G, and today we're going to start off with the Week in Review. This week's in review, we had a very busy week here at 2GP. We were running pretty much all week long, sometimes a couple of times a day. So we started with Midday Monologue Monday. And for Midday Monologue Monday, we did the third and final part of our most anticipated, top anticipated games of 2018. Briefly, to go over that list, it consisted of Judge Dredd, The Cursed Earth, Thunderstone Quest, Endeavor, Age of Sail, Wildlands, Thanos Rising, Fireball Island, The Revenge of Volkar, Coma Ward, Western Legends, Legends of Sleepy Hollow. And after those 9, we gave a bonus one, an expansion that we are eagerly awaiting for in 2018, an expansion game for the Lost Expedition. And that expansion, Fountains of Youth. Fountain of Youth. And that all finished up, the last 3 on that, finished up the nine name list that we had here for games that we are most anticipating for 2018. On Tuesday, we dropped a Tabletop Takeout, our series where we tell you about the games that we love and why you should play them. And this week, it was Role Player by Thunderworks Games. Role Player is a game where you are building a fantasy-style character, such as a Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder character. There's a lot of deep strategy involved in the game, trying to perfect the character, trying to min-max him, or in this case, just max him, her, or now with the expansion, it. We were able to do an unboxing on Wednesday of a new game we received from Osprey Games. And that was High Society. We're looking forward to trying this game out. This is an all-versus-all game where you are trying to live the most luxurious lifestyle, buying the most expensive items, taking the grandest trips, while at the end of it all, having as much money left over as possible. So it looks like it's going to be an interesting game, and we're all looking forward for that to hit the table. There was a bonus Midday Monologue this week, where I discussed with you a game we have here for review copy, and has not hit the table yet, though we are eagerly awaiting it to. We are all very excited about Dure the Lesser Houses. This is an all-versus-all game of political combat and social combat. This is a game where you are going to be laying suspicion and doubt on other houses in order to gain more popularity and a higher reputation for yourself. On Friday, we had a Twitter shout-out weekend update. And it was a special shout-out for our Twitter followers. Not that we meant to make anyone feel not included. At its heart, it could have been a thank you for everyone. And it certainly was. And we went over the weekend update, which we did our best to be able to keep. That night, there was an episode of Friday Night Fillers. It was a solo showdown. And in it, I took on One Deck Dungeon. The base, the original, the core game. Made it to the second level before my archer expired. I look forward to getting a little revenge. We'll see if that happens. Yesterday, myself and the 20-Sided Warriors played the opening act, the first issue, if you will, of Mutants and Masterminds 2nd edition Paragon's campaign setting. Mutants and Masterminds by Green Ronin Publishing is a role-playing game of superheroes. The 2nd edition, which we are using, has a very strong 80s and 90s Marvel and DC feel to it, especially with their campaign setting of Freedom City. However, we did not play Freedom City. We played an alternate campaign setting known as Paragons. The Paragon setting that we chose is set in the 1980s. The idea of Paragons is that superheroes have never existed. Everything has been the real world, 100%, that you can imagine or even just see outside your window. However, in this particular campaign that I designed, something happened. There was an event, the White Event. Everyone on the planet had a whiteout experience across all 5 sensories. Your sight, they could see nothing but white. Their hearing, they lost all hearing. They say it sounded white, like white noise. However, nobody was hurt, damaged, injured, or killed during this experience. People that were driving, people that were flying, people that were in the middle of doing operations, or other very delicate situations. It was as if time itself had frozen. And in this game, suddenly, strange things begin happening. All around the world, individuals are having these paranormal personal experiences. These supernatural occurrences are happening, and they are starting to make it into the media. People transforming into vicious, monstrous animals. People blowing up in balls of fire only to walk away harmless, as if nothing had happened to them. In a panic, the game begins with the very first day with mandatory government-issued vaccinations. They claim it is for a new strain of polio that they wish to eradicate before it becomes an epidemic. You can find out everything that happened by watching the Tales from the Table video that we did for that game. And on Sunday, we filmed our 2PGTV weekly news update that you are watching right now. And that was the week in review. Coming up next, a segment about what we got in our mailroom. So you might want to check this out and see if you want to give it your stamp of approval. Welcome back to the show. Up next, what we got in our mailroom this past week and what we're expecting coming up. This week, Two Gun Pixie received a copy of the starter kit for Sentinel Comics, the role-playing game. This is a game that is based on a card game that has a card app for your phone to follow and play the card game. It has a miniature combat game, Sentinel Tactics. And now, with the role-playing game, it has entered into a whole new field. You can watch the entire unboxing of that. We have that already posted. On a personal note, I would like to add that I myself am very excited to try this. I've played just about most of the superhero role-playing games that have been on the market. The first one that ever caught my attention was called Villains and Vigilantes, which was by Fantasy Games Unlimited. And me and my friends at the time became quickly enraptured by that game. Other games came along, gave my money to buy them, purchase them, spent my time to read them, create characters, and then to play them. Games such as Champions, GURPS Super, the DC game, I can't even remember who that was by, and that game was absolutely horrible. That 80s DC role-playing game. Horrible, horrible. TSR's Marvel Superheroes role-playing game, which many of us fondly remember the phase rip chart on it, tracking your fighting, agility, strength, endurance, reason, intuition, and psyche. That tore us away from Villains Vigilantes for a very long time. We eventually came back after the debacle of the DC game, where I decided to just do it all myself anyway. And using the Villains and Vigilantes rules, I incorporated the Marvel and the DC universe. After a very universally traumatic crossover adventure I played with my friends that literally destroyed the home universes of the Marvel and DC worlds, forcing them and their survivors to come here. And I say here, I'm talking about in-game at the time, the Villains Vigilantes universe, in order to survive. Mutants and Masterminds came along about 2000, or was it 2001, using the open game license. And at that point I realized that finally, in my opinion, a game surpassed Villains and Vigilantes. And then the second edition came along, and I thought that surpassed the first. I'm sorry to say, in all honesty, I have not been impressed with the third edition. Now, with Sentinel Comics' role-playing game, once again I'm excited to try a different superhero game. Whether this is going to live up to the hype or not is really up in the air. This is not a full role-playing game, as it says quite plainly on it, as a starter kit. It has 6 pre-generated characters in it, which you can see in our unboxing. And it has 6 adventures, at least 3 of which look as if they are interconnected. And it only has enough rules that you're going to need to get through these adventures. What the full game is going to look like, I'm curious. But after playing this, we'll find out exactly how curious I am for the full version. Now, we are expecting a few things coming in the mailroom. This week, either tomorrow or Tuesday, we will be getting a copy of, if you want to go back to the Week in Review, or more specifically, if you want to go back to Part 2, midday monologue of our most anticipated games, you will see that one of them, the one I'm going to mention now, is on that list. So I guess it's no longer anticipated. And that game, which was pre-ordered, and will be here, as I said, tomorrow, possibly by Tuesday the latest, Thanos Rising, Avengers Infinity War. Wow, why did I have so much trouble saying that? Because I was so excited, I was thinking of the words ahead of my mouth speaking them. Yes, Thanos Rising, Avengers Infinity War. That is going to have an unboxing. The unboxing is already planned, and you'll find out a little bit more about that, at least when the unboxing should be, when we talk about the week coming up in another segment. Now, there's another game that there's an outside chance. It's the dark horse here, that's for sure. But there's another game with an outside chance that it may actually show up here at the Nerd Wasteland by the end of the week. I am not counting on this, but still, hope blooms eternal. And that game is one I've been waiting for a while. The deluxe edition of Big Trouble in Little China. buy everything Epic. Fingers crossed, there's an outside chance that might show up, but we still may have another week or two. Other than that, it's been slow for the mail room, and there's not a lot coming up yet. There's a few things trickling in a little further down the road, but as far as what has come in and what we're expecting, well, that's about it. All right, so join us back here. We're going to be continuing 2GPTV weekly news update with a quick update to our Kickstarter watch. I like to do a casual search of Kickstarter during the week. I like to see what's coming up. What I should say is what just dropped. I'd like to get an idea if it's something I'm going to be interested in or not. So, pardon me, fool. You should be looking at the camera, really. And I came across a game a little more than a week ago. And I liked it. I wasn't sure if I loved it. But I know I liked it. So I kept my eye on it. By the time I found it, it was already fully funded, by the way. Stretch goals already opened up. I kept coming back and looking at it. And I was always like this close to just saying, the heck with it. I'm gonna back it. Now, there wouldn't have been a question in my mind, just in case you're wondering, why I was on the fence, close to one side, but still on the fence. Really, because I just backed something. I just backed a game called Unbroken. And, hey, come on, this is costing money. What else do you want me to say? That's the truth of it. I don't have the money to buy or kickstart everything I want. And I'm quite sure at least a few of you watching this understand what I'm talking about. So that's really the reason why I was on the fence. But you're still not going to... Well, just hold on a second. You're still gonna laugh at me in a moment. So I kept going back to this game, and I started reading the reviews instead of just reading about the game and the campaign and watching the video for it. I decided, well, I'm so much on the fence. Let me just see what some of the reviewers have said. See what some of my colleagues think of the game. Am I allowed to call them my colleagues if I don't know them and they don't know me? I don't know. So I decided to, read through them, and that's when I started thinking to myself, I really, really see what some of these guys are saying and what some of these ladies are talking about. Putting in perspective everything I'd read about the game at that point, the video I had watched that they provided on Kickstarter, and putting in perspective what all the ladies and gentlemen were saying, I decided to go and look at it one more time. So my friends, what I'm here to tell you is, if you enjoy card games, if you enjoy games where you see where you allocate dice, that seems to be very popular board game style currently. I seem to be seeing a bit of an explosion of that style, actually. Not that it hasn't been around before, but it just seems like more and more games like that. But anyway, if you enjoy those games, and I do, 20-Sided Warriors have enjoyed them so far. I can say that much at least, speaking for them. Then, and also one other thing. This is the thing I was saying before you're going to laugh at. It's only $9. It's only $9. So that alone, I shouldn't have been on the fence. Let's be honest. Even though I just backed something and I'm trying to be careful and be smart and not get murdered by Mrs. Big Johnny G. $9. Yeah. So I wanted to let you know, since we do like to talk about Kickstarter games from time to time here at 2GP, I thought I should let you know that if you like these dice sets, is that what they're really called? Geez, I'm not even sure. I gotta look that up. But the kind of games where it tells you that for the challenge you're gonna need a 2 and a 5, and then you have a Yahtzee style rolls to get the dice that you need to match the set, then you definitely want to save money on and get a $9 game called Crypt. Like I said, this game is already fully funded. You don't have to sit there and worry about, am I just backing something that's never going to happen? Or am I backing something that's just barely going to make it? But I'm not getting anything extra, anything cool. I could just wait to go to the store. It didn't open up any stretch goals. It didn't open up any social goals. It's the same exact thing that's going to be in the store, a month? Maybe the same week that it releases to the backers? No. This game is already fully funded. This game, now, I'm not sure what the percentage is right now, but I think this morning when I looked at it, it said 22,000 or 2,100 or 2,200% funded. 2,100 or 2,200 by this point funded. So you're talking about this game is definitely being made. You're talking about the fact that every stretch goal is opening. They're blowing through new ones, and it looks like a fun game. So you might want to check that out. You might like it. Maybe you know someone that might like it. Maybe it's the kind of game you can give as a gift, or just gift to yourself. So yeah, go ahead and Kickstarter and check out Crypt. I think you're gonna like that. And that's just about going to be it. We're going to end off here in a moment with what's coming up this week for Two Gun Pixie. Hello. And that was our 2GPTV weekly news update for this week. We have some things coming up that I'd like to tell you about before we sign off. For Midday Monologue Monday, we are going to begin a new series where we are going to be discussing the types of different games that we enjoy. And the first one is going to be talking about open world, sandbox style board games. Tabletop Takeout Tuesday, we have a game that is very dear to my particular heart. And I know that there are millions of other people out there that feel the same way that I do. It's very difficult to come up with a hint, as I've been trying to do for Tabletop Takeout Tuesday. I think for this one, I'm going to have to say that if you reach for the stars and you miss, you're still going to fall in space. And I completely ad-libbed that. With hopes set high that there is no delay in the mail delivery, Wednesday we are looking at a What's in the Pixies box unboxing of USAopoly's Thanos Rising Avengers Infinity War. Again, if everything works out and our timetable is not messed with, altered, or delayed by the U.S. Postal Service, then hopefully on Thursday, our aim is to bring you a how-to-play Thanos Rising Avengers Infinity War. For a Friday night filler, we are looking at One Deck Dungeon Forest of Shadows. Whether this is going to be a solo showdown or a Pixie playthrough, that remains to be seen until we discover whose schedule is open that night. Saturday, likewise, is up in the air. At this point, the number of players that are going to be available is sort of it's a Schrodinger's box situation. No, I guess that really isn't the right analogy. We have a chance that there may be 3, there may be 5, there may be 7. And we might not know until Friday evening. So that really puts Saturday's plans in a state of flux. And no, that is not a hint as to the game we are planning on playing on Saturday. If of the same players, if we have the same group available this Saturday, then we will continue our Mutants and Masterminds 2nd Edition Paragons campaign with issue number 2. If that number is changed, there will have to be another game played, and that game will be decided by the number of players. And then, barring any accidents, or mishaps, or any emergency videos that will have to be made in its place, we will be closing off the week Sunday with our 3rd episode of 2GPTV's weekly news update. Now, one final note before we sign off has to do with those are not the only videos that should be dropping this coming week. There is a mystery unboxing, which actually happened today. So that is already in the can, and that will be dropped at some point during the week. There is a second unboxing that could potentially happen any day now. This box here contains the game that was donated to 2Gun Pixie for a 1,000 subscriber giveaway contest. When 2Gun Pixie subscribership here on YouTube reaches 975, this will be unboxed and everyone will see exactly what it is you have a chance to win. Before the shooting of this, our count was at 962. So we're getting closer. When the 975 is hit, you will find out what's in the Pixies box for you to grab. And that, my friends, is all the news that we have to tell at this point. I'm your host, I'm your friend, Big Johnny G, our main man, Fu Manchu, always at our side, and we wish you a great and most epic upcoming week.